Happy Sunday Love Stream, it's Vivi, and I'm going to share 2 tips that I taught the Within University community this last week. The class was titled Taking Time for Yourself Without Feeling Awful About It, and I went into a whole bunch of tools and strategies, mindset reframes with them, but there are 2 specifically that I wanted to share with you today. So the first one, if that title resonated with you, Take Time for Yourself Without Feeling Awful About It, I invite you. Now remember, I'm about transformation and not information, so there's always going to be work in this for you. That's just how it is for me. Because you don't learn from someone telling you what to do, you learn from you actually doing it. It's experiential as an adult learner, as a human being. You have to test it yourself, you have to experience it yourself, and then when you trust yourself, you'll be able to take those experiments a little bit farther. So first and foremost, if taking time for yourself without feeling awful about it really resonated for you, then take a look at the language that you're using, just as a first step. Notice that language. Know that, absolutely know that the language you use frames your life. It's as if your life were in a frame, life in the middle, canvas, and all the words that you use are completely, kind of like the words are wrapped around this window frame. The words that you use, the language that you use is going to frame your life. It's actually going to design it in a certain way. So your first step is to look at the language of taking time for yourself. And make a list if you'd like to journal. It's really helpful for your brain to take things through both sides of your hemisphere and out through your hands for you to take it to another level of experience, another level of understanding. Make a list of different ways that you could frame that conversation. Rather than taking, perhaps it could be investing, it could be gifting, it could be whatever it is, but just as a first step, notice the language that you use. The second tool of the class that I want to share with you, my lovely YouTubers, is to consider if maybe you're just stuck in an old frame, in an old reference, and add a third dimension to it. Typically what I do when I'm making a decision between things is I look at whether I have 2 axes. Again, this awesome window is helping me and I didn't even realize it would. So that top axis might be how important is it? On this scale at the bottom, it's not important. On this scale at the top, it's really important. And then your second axis could be how urgent is it? So if it's not urgent, it's going to be way over here. If it is urgent, it's going to be way over here. So you can frame your tasks, your to-dos, into those 4 frames. Low urgency, not important. High urgency, not important, which is where we spend a lot of our time. Or urgent and important, which is the sweet spot up here. And then down here, not important, but it is urgent. Just, as a tool. So if you add a third dimension to that, what I'm suggesting that you do is you add in significance. How important, how significant is it to me? How significant is it to my core values? For that class specifically, I really wanted to create a really cool PowerPoint so that I could share my screen and have slides for folks to take back with them as a tool to remember. And I nixed it. I nixed it because it didn't really add value to the learner's experience, in my opinion. So it wasn't that important. And when I looked at the effort and the frustration that creating a PowerPoint, because I'm no longer a PowerPoint whiz, would, the level of frustration it would cause in me to get that right and to test out this screen sharing thing that I'd never done before, I said it's not significant. It's not significant to me in these next 10 minutes. It's not significant for my community in the next 10 weeks. And in 10 years from now, it's not significant at all whether or not I make this PowerPoint. So I was able to, even though I felt this pull, this draw to create a PowerPoint, no one told me to. I just, somehow it was a good idea. I nixed it. It was no longer a good idea. So for the things that you have complete control over, complete sort of an overview of, just take a look at that. How significant is it to you as a human being living in the world that you're living now, loving the people that you love now? Is a phone call more significant than an email? Is a text more significant to you than, I don't know. I'm making a sort of random little pinpoints to try to draw together. They're not drawing together. So those are my 2 tips that I wanted to share with you as a YouTube community of the class that I just taught. And I'll also include both the link to Within University and the link to the course, which has a sliding scale below, and some of the insights from the lesson. So really great to be with you today on Sunday for your regular love stream. Talk to you soon.